Hey guys, it's your bros from Gold Dang Bros Gaming, here on our ways and separate paths going to Portland. Me, myself, I'm at the airport in Pittsburgh right now. We meant to record last night, I got a little busy. Tiger, why don't you tell them about how your travel's been?
Yeah, we already went ahead. Me and my girlfriend Carly, who will also be competing at the Portland Regional, we went ahead and went a couple days early. Flights ended up being a little cheaper. The overall stay was going to be a little cheaper to just go a day or two early. So we said, we'll wing it and go for it. And that's where I'm at. I'm in a um, it's a room I'm in a hotel room, kinda ish,
It's a place to stay.
but yeah, it's a place to stay. But other than that, nothing crazy's happened. We got here, just kind of crashed, and been hanging out today. Was waiting to do the recording, and then we're gonna go explore a little bit. Saw a couple game stores, a mall that has like a lot of stuff to go look at. So we're gonna go hit the town, as the young ones would say.
Hit the town out in Portland. Alright, well, like I said, I didn't want to hold Tiger up too long from those activities. I figured while I was waiting on my flight, if I just got here a little earlier, this would be perfect time to shoot our show. We got a couple topics. Obviously, Portland is this weekend, so that's going to be a topic we're going to talk a little bit about. But we'll do a lot more of that at our live show. But one thing that's a real big topic lately, I don't know if anybody's following the Pokey Twitters. Our resident team captain there put out a statement about what makes a pro player, and it brought a lot of questions to the surface. So, Tiger, why don't you go ahead and tell the crowd about the meaning behind the post, explain it a little bit because I know where you're coming from, but a lot of people could have read that post and took it a completely different way.
Completely different. You're exactly right. I made the post as just like I was tired of scrolling every other Joe Schmo who's had a top 512 that squeaked in at A2 or a top 256 calling himself a pro. And I'm like, if this is the requirements to be a pro, then we have way more pros in Pokemon than the average game does.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, by all means, I am not calling myself a pro, and I made this post as well. I do think I'm better than your average bear, but I am not a pro. Like, I have not cashed yet. I haven't made it to Worlds yet. I haven't won a regional. So I definitely don't qualify as a pro, but I am better off than half these people with their one day two or their one top 256. Like, it doesn't make you a pro. You had a good run. I had somebody comment about saying, "What if your one run was a top eight? If that's the only time you've ever day two'd, that doesn't make you a pro. You had a really good meta call or matchup roulette was in your favor the whole way up."
Yeah, and that's right there. We've talked about that in previous shows. Sometimes you can game the meta. You can pick a deck that's gonna get you where you need to get, and then maybe not get to the end step, but maybe does get you there. But that all depends on your matchups. All depends on how you play that build. But no, to that effect, I do think there's a lot of people out there that are calling themselves professionals that aren't professionals. But again,
Mm-hmm.
to what makes a professional? So this brought me to the question of judging. You know what I mean? Every month this season, since September, I've been in a different city, helping Pokemon run, being a Masters floor judge, doing side events, doing play labs, and stuff like that. What makes that a professional? You know, on paper, it's a W 2 with compensation. That's what keeps me going. And, you know, I just absolutely love the community. I love doing this. But does that make that professional at that stance?
Correct. And I would call that professional judging. You
Mm-hmm.
are pulled off to every event. You're asked to do higher ranking positions. You can do any position that's thrown at you. I would call that a professional judge. You are
Okay.
literally going to every event and making this a career.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a professional judge. A professional player, it's a little harder to be that. And more people need to understand there's probably only 15 to 20 true professional players in this game. We have a lot of really good players, but like if you're not Azul, if you're not Brent Tonneson, if you're not Henry Chow, um, there's not Tord for as well. Like if you're not one of those type of players, you're not a professional. You're not a pro Pokemon player.
Mhm.
Like you can be a professional content creator. There's
Mhm.
plenty of those. Look at LDF. Look at Zapdos. Zapdos TCG is probably up there in career wise for being not quite professional, but like he's a good player in the EU circuit. But those guys make more of their money off of YouTube,
Mhm.
which makes them a professional content creator. But I would not call them a professional player.
Yeah, and then to my effect of going to every tournament, I think players get this misconstrued that, oh, I've gone to every tournament. This is what I do day in, day out. You know, aside from my job or whatever else they do, this is what I do as life, which that does make that as important as a profession. But becoming a professional player requires a few ticks down that ladder.
Right.
Like you said, and you said it before I did, being a judge. If I was just a floor judge, scraping by, doing things, I wouldn't necessarily call that profession. You know what I mean? I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
call that being someone that's going to be at all these events. I'm always, you can ask anybody I've worked with and players out there that are watching, I'm always willing and able to do anything and everything to help the event flow. That's that other step to make it professional. I feel like some people
Mm-hmm.
go to the events, play and do a very good job at trying to become professional, but they need to
Mm-hmm.
take that extra step. For example, you Tiger, let's look at last year versus this year. We've been riding 2.5 years now playing this game.
Yeah.
Last year, how many day twos did we have?
I'd won
One. All right. This year, how many day twos have we had?
5.
All right. Lots of consistency. What am I always saying about keeping everything going and consistency is key, and we're showing it right here. That is the becomings of a professional player, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Disagree or agree?
I agree that that is the route to become one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I personally still have a lot more to go. I've
Mm-hmm.
had a couple bubble outs of the caching. Like I had a 34th and I had a 48th, but like everybody at the 1 point higher than me were on the bubble for top 32 anyway. Some of those people still made top 32.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my thing is, I don't have to be the best player. I enjoy coaching. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
for anybody who doesn't know, I do a lot of juniors coaching. I have roughly 8 students that I help with, or have helped, and I have more from in the past as well. Like Shawn's son, I coached him. He became a world qualifier. I've helped some of the best out there right now. I am not his permanent coach, but I have done lessons with the senior that we had on here before that's in the top 16, Devin Ramonathan. I've done a lesson with Luke Giffen, who is one of the top 5, I think.
Oh yeah, easily.
Now, these guys do have their own personal coaches, but also they reach out for other people because not always your coach is good for a certain style. So, like specifically, we'll use the Luke Giffen one. His coach was not a control player. So they reached out to me because I have a better forte for playing control than what their coach did. So I did a specific lesson with him for how to play the deck and how to play against it for a couple lessons. That is something that happens. People will get coaching and they will get it for multiple different coaches if it's not the best person. Like if you want a Miraidon lesson, you're going to go to Jesse Parker. You're not going to go to the Charizard mate. You're not going to go to like I don't know Jackson Ford, who is a Charizard king.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to play Terapagos, you're going to go to like Josh Frink, one of the original players of the Terapagos list. Things like that. You're not going to go search out specific coaches that don't have a forte for that style of deck. So that is also a profession. Lots of coaches are professionals in that aspect, but they're not always the number one player in the game. Like Azul is probably guaranteed top 5. He doesn't even do coaching anymore.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, specific areas. I think that's one thing our groups hit on over the last 2 years, and we've realized that not every player is good to teach or play test in a serious manner in certain matchups. I know that if you give
Mhm.
me Dragapult or Guardy, Dragapult maybe that's a bad example. I've played a little bit more Dragapult than what do you think? But the slow Polt is what I'm not used to.
Yeah.
You give me slow Polt or you give me Guardy and say I need a playtest, cool. I guarantee you that playtesting isn't going to be as effective as it would be if we went to our Guardy player. Like in our area, Luke Talkington is probably one of the
Mhm.
premier Guardy players we have, always playing Guardy. I mean, the only reason he shifts from Guardy is when it's an absolute horrible matchup and he knows everybody
Mhm.
texts for it because he just doesn't want to have a bad day, and I get that. But that's happened
Right.
how many times?
It doesn't happen
Yeah.
often because, like, if you tech for Guardy, you're probably losing other matches.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where we're there. I mean, I do think, like I said, giving you props, I think this is the becomings of a professional player. I've told you from day one back when we went to Hartford and after we came back after COVID, finally let us get back into playing. Um, we got sky's the limit here. We're just gonna keep pushing, and I'm always gonna say that. And I do say that to
Mhm.
anybody else out there. Like if you envision to become a professional player, go and do it. But understand that there's steps before you're technically at that level.
Correct.
And that
Correct. 100%.
doesn't mean that we're saying you're not a good player. Doesn't mean that we are saying don't play the
Mhm.
game. It's just we everybody has their own different views on what a professional player is. Um, I'm glad that that post got a lot of hits. Hopefully, people come with more stuff like that and ask us so we can talk about it here on this podcast. I think
Mhm.
that was actually making my week when we were looking over what to talk about, and I asked Tiger. I said, "Dude, your post is kind of like, poof, build
Yeah,
me
it
up.
was
Let's talk about it."
some random post that now it's at 22,000 views. Like,
hmm
was not the goal of the post, but we take that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's a great subject. If anybody that's watching or listening um, has anything to discuss about it, please feel free. Put some comments below. Let us know what you think about our standards of a professional player, what your
Mhm.
standards of a professional player. Are we completely wrong? I mean, let us know because I feel like it's a pretty good explanation on what we consider professional. I feel like
Mhm.
that aligns with a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that is the complete, always to God truth. You know what I mean?
One of the like the biggest thing is, where do we set the bar? What is the bar to be a professional? I threw it out a couple times saying maybe making it to Worlds is the bare minimum of what a professional is supposed to be. If you have 6 million people and 125 are allowed to go,
Mm-hmm.
that's a pretty high percentage. If you make it to Worlds in this format, does that make you one? I thought that at the very least, that should give you semi-professional status. If you're not cashing, but you're bubbling out of cash every single event, sure.
Yeah. So, and sorry, I wanted to make sure my gate wasn't boarding. I still got time. But we've been talking about this yesterday. This is the perfect example. It just hit my brain. My very, very blunt example of it being a professional. Brent Tonneson. How much has he made this year, Tiger? You guys were talking about it in the chat. How much has he made
Yeah,
this
I
year?
think he's made like already 40K plus.
I
So
think,
like that is the true epitome of a professional. He is the number one player in the world, guaranteed this season. Might even be for the past couple.
and that's a career salary. There are people I know in our area. We're in West Virginia. I know every area. People are watching this from all over have different costs of living. But in our area, I
Mm-hmm.
would say the median that's actually a little bit above your average job in our area. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some people aren't making that much.
Right, and I'm not quite sure what the Australian money is, or if there's a conversion rate, or how they use it there. But like, that doesn't mean that if he made 40K in between London and America, and the conversion rates are way better for him in Australia, he could have potentially been making way more than that based on the conversion rates of the events where he's been playing at.
That is 100% fact. I didn't even put that into my mind to think about.
So yes, on American dollars, he has made about over 40,000. But that doesn't mean that that's not 40, 50, 60, 70,000 in
Ooh,
just terrified of snakes, so there are very few chances I will be going to some of your events.
Sorry if I cut out there. My internet cut out. I guess the airport internet cuts out pretty fast. Apologies for that. I think I'm going to put my hotspot on as backup just in case.
Just in case, sounds good. But
But
if that's also a struggle, then we can probably go ahead and wrap it up, and we can just do little bit longer of a live one on Friday.
no, I think we'll be good. I hit the checkbox again. We did have another topic to talk about. We spent a good 10 minutes on this. I feel like that's good.
Yeah.
Aside from Portland, for my professor friends out there, there was some news regarding the professor program and some changes coming June 1st. So typically, the professor program has been done online through Pokemon.com. That's where you go and take your test. You do all your league stuff there, organizer tools, all that stuff. They are now moving it to ProfComm, um, which is a place where now we're meeting up. We're able to put bios and get into community forums and talk to people in your area. But also, it's putting a few different tier lists on. So to give you a little explanation, your basic is still the same. You need to go on, you need to get your basic license, your certification, I should say, and then do a few courses. Professor certifications, as they're called. Um, Simple stuff. It's along the same lines as when you do a basic exam, except for it's directed with certain broken down factors. If anybody here has taken an online class, which I assume many people have, um, it's similar to that. A short little 20 minute to an hour, depending on the course. You take a course, you finish it, knock out the module, take a test at the end, test your comprehensive knowledge, you get a certification. While that's important is because now to get ranked up, instead of you actually putting in for the rank, putting in a written answer, um, writing it out, you are going to rank up automatically. So I'll put the details down below so you guys can see the link as well. But the basic stage remains the same. The little graphic they put out was Professor Sycamore was basic stage. It was the same. Let me go ahead and pull it up just for reference to make sure. And then the second stage was Professor Rowan. That's why I couldn't remember. And that one would require you to complete various certifications, as I was talking, and also attend events. So this is where we're starting to see a separation of those local judges to those that are aspiring to be more and go to events and do more for the community. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my assumption here is a lot of us that are doing that now shouldn't change. We should fall into the Rowan rank and essentially keep rocking from there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then the next stage requires more certifications, of course. Um, Community engagement is heavily required, so that means you're going to need to be going to event after event as much as you can. Also requires an interview to complete that stage. So that's the same thing as the old stage 2, where you would put in your written answer, your multiple choice, everything, send it in, and then they would contact you for said interview. Now they'll see your ranking as you kind of rank up per se in a game, and you will then get it on your dashboard that hey, you're available to rank up. Again, there's a lot of questions on how all this works. It's brand new, but just be on the lookout for that going forward. Tiger, you are completely out of focus, sir. There we go. He's
Yeah,
back.
I fixed it.
It's all good. Technical difficulties are part of it. I mean, like I said, I can fix anything that we need to fix here. So hopefully it's not too interrupting to the show, and we'll just let them rock because
Yeah, the not the best Wi-Fi here at this hotel, and you don't have the best Wi-Fi there at the airport either.
yeah. So yeah, because I definitely think that you're
But yeah,
still.
no, the in
There you go. You're back.
yeah, but the increase of dedication needed to be a professor is important. Maybe we'll stop having some of these power hungry. This is my first regional. I'm going to tell you how it is. Judges, and we'll have more that actually understand the rules, understand how the game flows, and are actually a positive influence in players and new people coming into the game.
Yeah, no, like Tiger said, that's a lot of what I've seen needed. Like a lot of people have asked me throughout the season, They see me on the Masters floor almost all last year, Masters floor beginning of this year, got the AHJ, and then I was on sides. That's not for a bad reason or negative reason. That's because I saw a need for someone with my ability in sides. Someone that's able to retain the people that, you know, have no idea what's going on in a regional and are coming over to sides like, how do I do this? What do I do? Those players that were in the main competition, maybe they had a bad day, right? Maybe it was their first regional and they went something and they don't know what to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was a competitive player that was bent on getting the day two and didn't get there and still kind of wants to hang out the regional. Maybe it's a place that he has a bunch of buddies. I want to be there to show them what they can do to kind of shake off some steam and have some fun. Like I said, that was my
Right.
prerogative, and that helped me do more for the community than just be a Masters floor judge. And for some other people, the story is completely flip flopped, and that's not a bad thing.
Right.
But hopefully, this program, like Tiger alluded to, will help us sort those judges out to figure out who goes where they need to be. Um, and if they need more work, we can see where that is, and people like me and other judges with experience can actually help them get to where they need to be.
Correct. That yeah. We need more Grookey judges, unless uh, I'm here. You're going to listen to what I say, judges.
Agreed. Like I
The
said,
the experience that the judges of your level bring, it makes the game so much smoother and more enjoyable, because you're not coming over when we yell for judge to come fix something and
what do I do?
saying, all right, well, I'm not quite sure, I need to go fix stuff, let me go ask, let me do this, let me this, you're completely wrong, da, 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 da. You bring the professionalism to the table, which is a big thing that makes the game run smoother.
I love that. Bringing the professionalism to the table. Probably going to use that in the title. Good job there, Tiger. I like that.
That was my good idea for the year.
All right. So aside from internet issues, and my flight will probably start boarding here in about 15, 20 minutes. We got about 8 minutes left. I kind of wanted to go for 30 minutes today. So let's try to talk for the next 7 minutes on a little bit about Portland. Let's let them know. I want everybody to watch our Friday live episode. So if you're watching this on Friday morning, because this will be posted, hold me to it. If I don't, everybody out there can slam my Facebook. Like, I'm literally going to get this uploaded tonight. It'll be up Friday morning for everybody to see. Time change is weird though, because I'm going back 3 hours. So, but either way, it's going to be up for
I
people
am
to
a
watch. Yeah.
slam the Grookey judge.
Yep.
Hit, bash us on Twitter, bash us on Facebook, whatever you got to do. But make sure it's him, since
Yep.
he's the one that said that it was going to be up by Friday.
It's gonna be up because what I want to do is have people be able to watch this on Friday, and then when we go live on Friday evening, I want to talk more in detail about what we're going to talk about now, going into Portland, the meta, what we're
Hmm.
playing, that stuff. I want to kind of keep it so that we're keeping everybody interested in our content. That's what we've been talking about in a lot of our group sessions, is what can we do to make other people enjoy what we're giving them. So without further
Correct.
ado, Tiger, a little bit about Portland. I'm judging sides, so I mean it's same old stuff for me. Coordinator, I'll have more on Friday after I've got a day of figuring out how things are going to work. But Tiger, you're prepping for Portland, last regional of the season. How you feel?
I'm a little in between with it. Portland's kind of my grace regional. Since I have 700 points already, I've got 5 finishes. If I replace one of my 256, cool. That's less pressure at NAIC. If I don't, I still have NAIC to replace that 256 with to gain another 20 to 40 points. Um, Things to be looking out for this event is probably an increase of Guardy, because Dragapult did finally win a regional, but also there were 5 Guardies in cut for Melbourne. Of course, Brent Tonneson, #1 player of the year, won another regional. At least he finally won one in his home country. Like,
Right, right.
Australia deserved to get an Australian winner for once. Um, so shout out to Brent and the his Australian group. Also, congrats to Brent for joining TSS. There was a big post about him and Aiden Koos becoming the newest members of the Shuffle Squad. So congrats, Shuffle Squad, for snagging
No,
two of the best players in the world.
pretty strong squad over there now.
Um, but yes, back to the short version is might see a slight downtick in Dragapult, and a slight uptick in Gardevoir. Uh, Big basics are back on the rise between Raging Bolt, and Joltik Box. Um, but other than that, meta hasn't changed too much. We haven't discovered any crazy builds out there that just win stuff. So I'm going to go with a Dragapult still top place at 15%. Um, Guardy's going to be second at 13. Um, Raging Bolt and Joltik Box are going to be somewhere around 7 to 8 a piece. Let's go 6 to 8 for both of them. And then you're going to get something random, either Terra Box or Goldango is going to be 5th place. Percentage on that, not 100%.
Kind of, kind of really sounds like we're in a dead zone, honestly, before Destined Rivals drops. And some lists can add some changes. I know there's a lot of things flying around. Shout out to Team Night Slash. They're talking about the Mag Cargo deck, which I know some other people are excited about. I don't know if that's the way to run Fire, but those are the cool things that new sets bring out. It might not be meta breaking, but that brings the fun back into the game for some other people. And I will say sometimes diving into a list that you know isn't going to work does show you some things for a list that would work. I'm not wrong there. I know that.
And for those who don't know what the Macargo deck is, it's one of the Ethan's decks. It's basically reverse Chimpao. You have a fire stage 1 that does all the big damage by discarding energies, and a basic EX is the accelerator, as in Chimpao was a basic EX that was the attacker that discarded energies, and they had a stage 2 single prizer that accelerated all the energies. So you get to skip the rare candy phase, but your energy accelerator is a basic, so it might just be, if you're missing Chin Pao, it might be just better to play Macargo. For old heads playing Pokemon still, the Macargo Fast card. No, we don't have Smooth Over anymore, the best Macargo ever printed. But this it seems top of tier 3, maybe bottom of tier 2, just because it's not super fast. You're supporter reliant on using Ethan's adventure or whatever it is to find your Ethan's Pokemon and fire energies, and then Ho-Oh can only accelerate 2 or 3 a turn. So you need multiple Ho-Ohs, which means you need multiple stage 2 prize Pokemon on the board to get decent amounts of energies on the board. Personal opinion, the best fire deck coming out is going to be Armarouge again, using Ethan's Ho-Oh to accelerate energies for Armarouge to move around to whatever attacker you need, using Luminous Energy so you can use Iron Hands, Monkey Dory, Wellspring, things of that nature, and Legacy Energy as well. But the main acceleration is Ho-Oh for either one of these decks.
I agree with that. Like I said, we're keeping it short and sweet because a lot of this stuff we're going to talk about tomorrow. Again, it's Thursday now, so be on the lookout for our live episode. We're going to set up at the regional. If we run out of time at the regional, heck, we'll set up at my hotel. It'll probably be great for Tiger to see
right
that
next
one
door.
versus where he's at. So I'll find.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of our Hobbit hole.
I'm sure I'll find a place in the lobby or something. We'll put some cool scenery from Portland in the back if that's the case. If not, it'll be at the regional. But again, I hope you guys tune in to the live. The more we get of that, the more we can do more lives. We've been doing more. We've been talking more about deck lists. A lot of it's gonna come. We're kind of in the middle of prepping for NAIC and stuff like that. We've talked about July being a good time where we can prep a little for Worlds and also get more content and more team building stuff out. So be on the lookout for that.
All right, guys, that's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow at the live stream. Stay lucky.